Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
At Midway USA, we put customers first. The Nitro Express shipping system is icing on the cake. It was a big investment of time and money to take super fast, low-cost shipping to a whole new level. The Nitro Express helps ensure same-day shipping and low shipping cost. We hope you enjoy the Nitro Express. We built it just for you. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
I'm Larry Potterfield with Midway USA. Thanks for your business.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got another great episode for you. What are the odds? Today, we're actually connecting with another one of our listeners. Reached out and said, hey, I have some fun stories that I would like to tell, and as usual, he did not disappoint. Today, we're hearing from Austin Harriger. Austin has some amazing stories. He's been hunting for a long time, and the stories this week are part of a unique experience that I think some people have in the woods with people that they have lost. Very cool. Austin has several of them. I'm personally jealous because I don't think I'll ever have one of those experiences. But either way, I'm glad he shared his stories with us, and I hope you guys enjoy the stories as much as I did talking with Austin. So Austin, thank you. Listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. Let's check these stories out, but first, make sure you give us a review and share the podcast with one other person. Beyond that, let's kick it off and let Austin tell you some of his stories. Thank you. All right, Austin, welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you?
Good. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing very well, man. I'm doing very well. I'm excited to chat with you today. Another one of our great listeners that found our little forum and said, hey, I got some stories to tell, man. So thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. Again, super excited to be here. I kind of ran across the Hunting Stories by mistake, actually. I was heading to New Jersey, and I got tired of listening to music, pulled out my Spotify, and just was like, what can I listen to? And I was like, well, hunting's my absolute favorite thing to do. So I typed in hunting. It was one of the first ones to pop up. And so haven't listened to all of the episodes yet, but I'm through, 5 or 6 so far. And that's, I'd like to listen to all of them. And so super excited to be here.
Awesome, man. Well, that's good to hear that you're a new listener. You got a lot of great stories ahead of you. Some episodes are okay, I'll be honest. Some of them are wonderful, though. So enjoy as you get through the catalog, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. But let's do this, man. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit more here? Tell them, who you are, where you're from, maybe your background in hunting, and then we'll get into some stories.
Yeah, so again, my name is Austin Harriger. I'm a PE teacher up in upstate New York. And so not sure how familiar everyone is with upstate New York, but it's not always known for, the giant whitetails or the hunting. But this is where I was born and raised. I absolutely love it. Been hunting my entire life. My grandfather and father got me into it when I could start walking. They carried me out in the woods to do the scouting, the hanging tree stands, partridge hunting, turkey hunting, deer hunting. Done it all that you can basically do in New York. So yeah, a little bit about me. PE teacher, so I get my summers off, which gives me a great opportunity to scout. That's something that not a lot of people can do, but I'm lucky to be able to do that. Work 8 to 3, get out of school, go out and hunt till dark. So super lucky to be able to do that. Stay
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yep. So it's
That's
actually,
cool.
Yeah. When I filled out the application to be on this podcast, it wanted to know something unique about me, and I said, well, the only way I'd ever give up my job is if I could somehow do hunting for a living. I'm sure 99% of the guys and women listening to this would probably say the same thing. But we'll see how it goes. But no, so that's a little bit about me. Nothing too wild.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all right. Those are the exact kind of people that are listening and the exact kind of stories I want to hear. So let's dive into it, man. So why don't you set the stage for your first story? I know you said you have a bunch and we have limited time, so let's just dive into it, brother.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm actually going to start with a story not about any of the bucks I have around me. I'm going to start with my first ever story about the one that got away. And
Okay.
it's funny because there's so many people out there, there's so many kids who they go out in the woods their first time and they shoot a monster. And it's like, it's all downhill from there. And
Yeah.
with me, it was the exact opposite. So this story starts with, it was late October. I just started getting into bow hunting, 14 years old, first time I could ever go out by myself. And we have an old dairy barn up here in upstate New York, and behind the barn, it's just this big overgrown pasture with this big hemlock tree in it. And I said, well, that looks like a good spot. Didn't do any scouting, didn't do anything like that. Went up, hung up a tree stand, and up here in late October, it's still pretty warm. It was about 70, 75 degrees. So I went out there in t-shirt, camo t-shirt, bow, set up. And
Nice.
got out there about noon, and temperature slowly, as the day went on, started getting a little colder and colder. Well, about an hour before dark, that temperature, I swear, dropped 30 degrees. I mean, it went down to about 30, 20 to 30 degrees. I'm sitting there in t-shirt and thin like polyester camo pants. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm getting cold. And I'm getting cold really fast. And the wind's picking up. And the wind's just blowing right through me. And I'm sitting there, I'm freezing. And I just kept telling myself, like, 10 more minutes, just sit here. I shit you not, probably 10 minutes before dark, out steps the biggest buck I've so far that I've seen in hunting. Here I am, 14-year-old kid.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the first times I'd been out bow hunting, and so
Yeah.
I slowly grab my bow from over my right shoulder, pull it out, go to draw back. There's no way I can pull that bow back. I am so cold that I just and I sat there and I thought to myself, like, come on, like, my adrenaline's pumping. There's no way. I mean, that buck, I don't know what he was, 10, 12. I don't know how big he was. I didn't have time to count the points, but just an absolute giant, especially for upstate New York. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there, and I'm clenching, I'm pulling and couldn't pull it back. And that buck walked past me 50 yards, 60 yards, gone. And I was absolutely heartbroken. And I got back to the house that night, and I was at my sister and my brother-in-law's, and I told them about it, and they said, well, you can either give up hunting forever and just let it be, or you can go back out there and try it again tomorrow. So it's funny, that hunting experience right there is what really got me into it. The fact that I saw that giant and never even
Yeah.
flung an arrow at him because I was so cold. It was a hard lesson learned for sure. But
That's too funny, man. That wind,
so-
though, will get you. I've said this on the podcast before. You may or may not have heard it, but, like, I can handle cold, I can handle wet, but wind, man, even dry wind, it puts me on my ass and it makes it really, really hard for me to stay out in the woods. So I'm even impressed that you did what you did, especially at that age. But it's cool that that's the exact moment that it's like, this is what fired me up.
Exactly. Yep. I was, and what didn't help, what I didn't say is sitting in an old metal tree stand, no padding on the seat, no, just a metal rail around me.
Yeah.
Nothing to break the wind, in this hemlock all by itself in the middle of this overgrown cow pasture, just freezing. But so that was a hard lesson
bet.
learned, but got me into it, and it actually leads me right
Let's
into
do
my next.
something real quick, Austin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say we kill the video. I just worry there's a little bit of like a 1 second delay between us,
Okay.
and so I want to just try and speed it up. So if you could kill your cam, I'll kill mine. Hopefully that'll help us recording the audio. And then remember, please just move your mouse or touch your mouse every couple minutes just to make sure your computer doesn't go to sleep.
Okay.
Okay, but let's continue. Sorry, I'll clean that up.
No, you're good. You're good. Like I said, I just appreciate being here. I love talking hunting. If I could do it 24/7,
Yeah.
I would. And most people in my family get sick of it, but no. So once again, I really appreciate it. So no, I'll jump right into my next
I
story.
get it. I go to my wife after every one of these, and I'm like, check this out. This is what this guy did. And she's like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, well, okay, I'm excited. So I get it, man. I get it.
But no, so yeah, I'll jump right into my next story. It's actually the first story, or my first buck story that I ever got. And I was hunting with my brother-in-law, and he still gives me shit to it for this day, but I've got to tell it because it's one of my favorite stories. So I was 16 years old, and again, late October, and it's about noon, 1 o'clock. And at this point, I was getting a little frustrated with the hunting. I'd been hunting a few years and never got an opportunity at a buck. And he just kept telling me, he's like, dude, if we just sit here on this couch, you're never gonna get a buck sitting here. So we went out around 1 o'clock or so, and I sat there for a half hour, and all of a sudden, I heard 2 deer coming up over the hill. I was like, all right, so I get my bow ready, and it's this small little 6-point, and behind him, again, similar to my first story, it's just a giant. And I'm like, all right, what do I do? Like, just hoping that the big one comes in first. They were kind of, like, the big one was kind of trailing the 6-point. And the 6-point comes in at about 15 yards, and he's just kind of milling around me. And here I am, 16-year-old kid, never killed a buck before, and I've got this 6-point buck right in front of me, broadside, and I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I wait? Do I take the opportunity to let this small one go, to let the big one come in? And the big one just stayed off to the side, 50, 60 yards. Never came in. And I was like, well, I've never gotten a buck before. I just really want to get one under my belt. So I drew back. 6-point had no idea I was there, and shot him, and he went down, took off. Well, that big one, after I shot at that 6-point, came in 20 yards, and here I am. I had just shot it. I had just shot the small one. He's laying over dead, and this is like as the rut's picking up. And that big one just stood there and stood there and stood there. And I consider myself a pretty ethical hunter. And I was like, there's no way I can sit here and shoot the second deer, because it would obviously illegal. And so he eventually moves off, and I call my brother-in-law, and I was super excited. I'm like, hey, come on over. I got a buck down. He comes on over, and him and I are talking about it, and I started telling him about the big one, and he goes, dude, what did you just do? And I was like, I shot the small one. He's like, why didn't you shoot the big one? I'm like, because I had never gotten a buck before, and the big one wasn't coming in. And he's like, dude, that thing is huge. I've had him on trail camera. And little backstory, when him and I went out, he told me, he's like, you can either go down in the bottom or up on the top, and I'll just go the opposite. And if we had gone the opposite ways, he probably would have gotten that giant, and he never got an opportunity at him that season. But
man, I bet that ate him up.
It killed him. Here I am. I'm on top of the world, so excited, and he was excited for me too. Just to be a part of my first buck. But at the same time, it definitely ate him up, because like I said, he had trail camera pictures of him, and he just never got the opportunity at him that season. But no, that was my first ever experience. And I just want to if he ever listens to this, I want to give a quick shout out to him. He, without him, I would have never got that buck, and I may still to this day have never gotten one, because, like I said, I'd been hunting a few years, never got the opportunity to harvest one. And then from there, it was just, it was game on. I fell in love with it even more. And so, yeah, that's
amazing, man. And his advice, you're not going to shoot one on the couch. You can't. It's nothing more true than that, man. He just got you out there, and that's all it took.
Right. And that's my father, my grandfather preached the same thing to me in those few years when I wasn't getting the opportunities, when I wasn't getting deer. They just kept telling me, like, dude, you just got to put the time in. My grandfather, old school hunter, he's like, do yourself a favor, quit worrying about the wind. Quit worrying about your scent. Just go out there. Like, just get time out in the field. He's like, you're 14 years old. You're 15 years old. Your BO smells worse than anything you could ever cover up anyway. just go out there. So, I spent a lot of time out there and, learned a lot of trial and error. And, but no, when my brother-in-law put me on that buck and got it and helped me get it, I just so thankful for everyone in my family with that one. So it actually leads me
That's awesome.
to think. It actually leads me to think about my experience now. I'm 27 and I've got some nieces and nephews who are starting to get into it, and now I can kind of use all these these errors I've made over the years to teach them and to get them out hunting. And it actually brings me to my second story with my nephew Lane. I don't know if you have any questions about the first story or not, but
No, man, we're good. Let's keep moving. But make sure you move your mouse. Don't fall asleep on me.
yeah, no, I definitely won't fall asleep. My second story is
don't let your computer fall asleep on me.
oh yeah. No, my second story is about my first ever crossbow buck, and so I'm gonna get a little bit of hate for this probably because here I am, a 19-year-old kid talking about a crossbow buck, but something that I can really hang my hat on is I love hunting deer in any aspect. I've hunted with shotgun, rifle, crossbow. I've got a pistol buck that I'll talk about later on. One of my goals someday is to get one with a muzzleloader. I haven't done that yet. I'd love to use.
What about a shotgun? Have you done that?
Shotgun, I got my first ever deer with, which was a doe, but I've not killed a buck with it. So my goal is to get a buck with all the different implements and all the different
That's awesome. That's a cool goal.
So the only three. I mean, I know there's a bunch of other ways to do it, but in terms of big game, recurve, I have not done it with yet. A lot of people haven't, obviously. Muzzleloader and shotgun. Once I get those three under my belt, I'll have completed that goal. But I've gotten a pistol buck, crossbow buck, and the crossbow buck is one of my favorite stories because it was one of the first times my nephew went out hunting with me. And it's a pretty cool story because.
Okay. Let me ask you a quick question before we dive into it, though, Austin. So this it's a cool thing to try and take one with like every method of take. I don't know if I've heard of anyone doing that before. What was it, or when was it that you were like, this is the idea I want to have, or did you just all of a sudden realize you'd kill a bucks with like 3 or 4 different things? You're like, well, let's complete the cycle.
Bow hunting all comes down to a moment, and in the moment, you want equipment on your bow that will get the job done. Trophy Ridge products are the tools bow hunters trust. React technology sights, rests, stabilizers, and quivers to help a bow hunter be successful in the field. And those tools are from Trophy Ridge.
Hey guys, this is Melissa Bachman. Are you ready to stop spooking deer before it's even time to hunt them? Then you need the new Flex S Dark cellular trail camera from SpyPoint. With a no-glow flash option, long-lasting solar power, and a ton of settings that can be changed anytime through the SpyPoint app, there are no more excuses for letting your deer get wise before the season even starts. So check it out for yourself and see why the SpyPoint Flex S Dark is the unstoppable and undetectable scouting tool you need for your next hunt.
Well, to be completely honest with you, it actually came from a little bit of negative feedback on Facebook when I killed my buck with my crossbow. There was a lot, there was a lot of guys, and people, I don't know if it was jealousy or just people just hating on crossbows, but there was a lot of people saying, why are you using a crossbow? And I was like, well, 2 reasons. One, I just love hunting with one, and I had my nephew with me. It's much easier to hunt with a crossbow than it is a compound in a double ladder stand with someone sitting next to you. But after that, I was like, you know what? I could care less really what other people think, and I think that would be a really cool goal to set for myself, to kill one, to harvest an animal with every sort of implement that you can. And so that's I think that when I got that buck, that's kind of what really set it off for me, because there's a lot of guys.
Facebook, man.
Yeah, a lot of people that they'll say you shouldn't hunt with a crossbow because you're strong, you're athletic, it takes away the challenge. The thing is with me is I've never really considered deer hunting to be like a challenge. I just really enjoy being out there, and if I get a deer, awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's just a cherry on top. But like, I guess the challenge for me is just trying to use different types of different strategies to hunt with, using different weapons. That's kind of what makes it exciting for me. Not even really about getting the animal or,
Yeah.
that's my
No, I
favorite
love
part.
that, man. Yeah. I've had some fun, at the expense of, crossbow hunters, or, there's the whole 6.5 need more argument and all stuff like that. But honestly, for me, I don't particularly care. I love people getting out into the woods, having a great time, obviously creating great stories. So I don't know where those things necessarily come from, but I will be honest. I have had fun making fun of somebody for a crossbow or a Creedmoor, even though I don't really know why I'm making fun of them for it.
Yeah, no, trust me. I'm all for it. I love the arguments that people give for both sides, and I see it. I understand, both sides of that, but it's just funny. And
Yeah.
and something else that kind of goes with that is the style of hunting that I do. I love to switch it up. Like when we get deep snow here in New York, I love to track. Tracking something that I'm new to. My dad and I actually have gone up to the Adirondacks a couple of times and have tried our hand at tracking. Still hunting, love to try to do that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with still hunting. Have you ever heard of still hunting? Do you know what that is?
Yep, very common tech. Yeah,
Yep.
just like walking through the forest super slow. Walk 10 feet, stop, look around.
Yep. Yeah,
Walk
that
5
was
feet. So, yeah, that's pretty common for Western big game. You can definitely sneak up on elk that way. Pretty common.
Yep. So still hunting, ladder stands, hang on. Every type of method that you can possibly think of is that's what my goal is, just to experience it and try it out. And if I hate it, whatever. And if not, then at least I can say I did it. One of my goals some days is to head out west, to go elk hunting, to go up to Canada or to Alaska and go moose hunting, to try those things that I've never tried before. So we'll see how that goes, but all things hunting, that's, I love to talk about it and hear other people's opinions on it. So, but yeah, so
let's keep going, man. Let's dive into the story with the crossbow and your nephew, you said?
Yeah, my nephew. So at the time my nephew was 8 years old, and he at that age starting to really get into the hunting. Uncle Austin, can you take me out? And I was like, yeah, sure, we'll go out. And I only had one area on the farm that him and I could both go to, and it was an old 2-person ladder stand down in this area we call the Beaver Dam. It's this 100-yard wide beaver dam that's absolutely huge. You can't cross it. You can't. It's just such a mess down in there. And I usually hunt out of it with a rifle, because you can look across the dam onto the other hillside, and that's where the deer kind of filter through. But so I brought Lane out there, and we got out there about noon. He was just so excited to get out there. And a little backstory about the sun up here is it does not set until about 7 o'clock during deer season.
Oh, wow.
So you think about it, I've got my 8-year-old nephew out there for about 6.5 hours, and he was doing okay for about the first half hour or so. And as anyone can probably attest to, when you bring a young child out there, he started getting restless. And I was thinking to myself,
yeah,
I'm like, this is going to be a long sit, because usually in that stand the deer don't start coming through until just before dark. And I was like, well, this is going to be a hard lesson for him. So we sat there, and he had to have asked me, Michael, I don't know, he had to have asked me 30 times, Uncle Os, can we get down? Like, do you want to get a deer? Well, yeah. Okay, well, we're not going to get down then. And we sat there, and lo and behold, around 6 o'clock, had some deer coming actually in from behind us. And I wish I could somehow show you and show the viewers a video, because I have a video of him on my phone, just shaking, hearing those deer come in behind us. They're all doe, and so that's the reason I took my phone out. And he's gearing up. He's super nervous, and I was just like, oh, some doe are going to come down through, whatever. So I put my phone away. Well, 15, 20 minutes later, we hear some more sticks breaking coming in behind us, and here comes this really nice buck. He was actually a 5-point, but really wide, tall, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Uncle Oz, can we shoot him?" I'm like, "Lane, I was thinking about shooting him before you even asked me that. I was thinking that in my head." And this buck, he kind of comes down over my left-hand shoulder, kind of out into the stand. And that buck was kind of looking around, and I think, I've never seen a deer do this, but I think he was about to cross over the top of that beaver dam because that's where the doe went. And I was thinking to myself, please don't do that, because if he does that, he'll be out of our sight. And I don't know what got into this deer's head, but he made a sharp right-hand turn right in front of us, and put the crosshairs on with my crossbow and shot him. And as soon as that deer took off, Lane starts yelling. He's like, "Uncle Oz, did you get him? Did you get him?" I'm like, "Lane, calm down. Like, you gotta let him go off and and die. We can't just go chase him." And he was shaking like crazy. And right then and there, I knew that he had the fever. he had exactly what I had that first time I went out. He was hooked. And so we sat there another 10, 15 minutes or so and climbed down out of the stand, and I swear he ran. Like, he just ran towards where that deer went off, and he was just so excited. He found the blood, he tracked it himself, got over there, and he was on top of the world. And the thing is about that is I was the one that shot it, and he was just so excited about that. And that's one of those memories I will have with me until I'm an old man, just seeing the excitement on his face. It's just something that you don't see, in a lot of other areas of life. Just the excitement on his face was just awesome. And so,
I bet that's amazing. I need to get out. I've taken my nephew out. It was actually a funny story. Aoudad hunting, and he was same thing, man. He was super restless. But we actually didn't have any luck on that hunt. The memorable things for me, besides his excitement, is I taught him to tie his shoes while we were in a blind, and he dropped my rifle twice. And I was like, damn it. Really? But yeah, man, it was pretty funny. It ended up being fine. I've shot the rifle since. The scope's on, everything's on. It's totally fine. But it's fun to give him grief because now he's 16 and definitely would be like, I don't know if I could take you hunting, man. You'll just drop all my weapons. But take your kids out, man. It's fun. It's a totally different experience. And man, it is hard to sit with them in a blind. They get real restless.
Yeah, and so I could have easily handed in my phone, like a lot of people probably do, and let them sit there and be quiet and watch videos. But I thought to myself, that's just taking away the experience, the learning moment of it. So he probably, someday when he listens to this, hopefully he says to himself, like, you know what, that was a good thing my Uncle Oz did, was just let me sit there and take it all in and learn to be patient. Because I feel like that's something that we're losing, and because I'm the first one to do it. Even now, I'll be sitting in the tree stand or in the blind or something. I'll pull out my phone and I'll scroll and I'll do everything that I shouldn't be doing when I'm sitting out there. And I think that's something
we all do.
part of like that old school part of me, I really want to, just put the phone away and just sit there and watch the squirrels, watch the birds, watch the wind blow, just get back to the reason that we're all out there, to kind of escape that reality. That
man. I struggle. Yeah, I struggle to not get mine out, but what's lucky about Western hunting is a lot of it is in areas where your phone just doesn't work. So I preseason delete all games and everything like that might be on there that might distract me, and I get a lot of squirrel time, I'll tell you that. But definitely when it does work, I struggle to keep it in the pocket, man.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. And that actually leads me to my next thought. It's actually my favorite story. And this is at the end of the podcast, if I get a chance to send you a picture of it, I'd love for you to share it, because it's something that it's my most exciting hunt I've ever been on. The hunt only lasted 15 minutes, but it's near and dear to my heart. It was an old school way to take a deer, and I just, it means a lot to me. So I'm, like I said, thankful that I get to share it. But in terms of old school hunting, I gotta take it back. I don't know however old he was at the time. My grandfather, 60 years ago, Woolrich pants, Woolrich jacket, old 30-30 rifle, cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he would go out and deer hunt. And he'd get a deer every single year, and that's just so non-typical compared to what people do now. And so, coming back to reality now, he was, one of the first people to ever take me out hunting. And same thing, we'd sit there on a log, he'd have a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and we wouldn't see nothing all day long. And I always thought to myself, what are we doing out here, Gramps? Like, it just kind of drove me crazy. But, I still learned a lot from him, and he had so many great stories. I wish he could listen to this podcast and even tell some of his stories. But what brings me to this story that I'd like to tell is about 2 years ago, he unfortunately passed away. And when he passed away, my dad and I sat there at the kitchen table the night before deer season. And, we're just reminiscing, talking about the stories, saying, I wish Grandpa could be here, and, just missing him really hardcore. And that night I made the decision. I said, you know what, Dad, I'm going to take Grandpa's old Woolrich jacket and I'm going to wear it. I'm going to wear his old Dickie pants, his old rubber boots. I'm going to wear his old camo hat. I'm going to go into the gun cabinet and I'm going to get his old 30-30. And 30-30 I had never shot before. Grandpa gave that to me when I was young, and just, I never hunted with it because I always used, my 270, my 308, whatever, just higher powered rifles. Yeah. And he said, well, Austin, where are you going to go and sit? And I said, well, if I'm going to wear all of his stuff, I might as well go sit in his old wooden tree stand down over the hill, down from his house. And he's like, well, there's no apples down in there. There's no orchards. There's no cornfields around it. There's no nothing. He said, you probably won't see anything. And I said, it is what it is. So it's the first day I've ever hunted without Grandpa, and I'm just going to do it. So that next morning, woke up, threw all of his stuff on, all of his old stuff, smelled like cigarettes, smelled like, musty basement. I was just thinking to myself, like, what am I doing? Get down into the woods, climb up into that old wooden tree stand, and the thing's rickety as all hell. I'll get out, just cracking, popping.
Yeah.
Damn, like what? And I climbed into that stand, and I just, I'm not one to get too awfully sentimental, but I just kind of closed my eyes and I just said, like, look out for me today, Grandpa. And so I sat there, and just started to get daylight. And it was cold that morning, about 15 to 20 degrees. And I don't know how these older sportsmen were much more tougher than I am, because I was getting cold really fast.
Yeah.
And just as about that chill started to set in, I heard some leaves rustling over my left shoulder, and here comes this beautiful, absolutely beautiful 8-point. It's actually the biggest buck I've gotten so far, and he just came walking right slow, right down past me. And Michael, that deer came 10 yards, and I'm only 10 feet off the ground.
No way.
And 10 yards broadside. And I pulled that hammer back on that old 30-30 and let the deer have it, and he dropped right in his tracks. And put the gun down in my lap, and I had to have sat there for probably another 5-6 minutes. And I just thought to myself, like, there is no way that just happened. And I called my dad, and I said, Dad, you will never believe what just happened. I told him the whole story, and he came down, and him and I mean, we cried over that deer. And
I believe it.
I took some pictures with him. And, the craziest thing about that story, besides, probably smelling like old cigarettes and all that, is that deer had absolutely no reason to be there. There was no crossings. There was no field it was headed towards. I mean, it was right in the middle of the big woods. Absolutely 100% should not have, no reason for it to be there. And there's a lot of people out there that, they'll say, well, it was just luck, but it's hard for me to imagine that there wasn't something something that sent that deer my way, because
Yeah.
that was just so special to me. And so I got my pictures with him, and Dad helped me get him out of there, and he was a big deer. I mean, so he was just a nice wide 8-point, not a giant by anyone's means, but my biggest buck so far. And got him to the house, hung him up, and Dad and I sat there. We had some pancakes that Grandpa used to like to put blueberries on his pancakes. So we had some blueberry pancakes, and looked out the window, and here comes a little red cardinal, and he sits right on the windowsill. And I said to myself, like, yeah, right there's Grandpa, looking over me. And that I can't explain that story any better than that. That just absolutely awesome. Just unreal.
That's amazing, man. That's such a cool story. It's kind of crazy. Obviously, I've done this a lot, right? I've done 170 plus episodes at this point. It's not everyone, but you'd be surprised how many people go out into the woods hunting after losing someone, and they have a similar moment. I mean, every moment is unique, but they have a moment that they're like, how is this happening? This is ridiculous. Yep. And it's on a specific hunt where they are like honoring the person that they wish they were there with. It's amazing. It happens almost too often, right, to be a coincidence. It's something that's very unique, I think, to the hunting woods, and it's very cool that you've been able to experience that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here right now. It gives me chills to think about like how many different people experience what I got to experience that day. It was so special to me. And the craziest thing about it is I actually have another story from this past season, and it almost doesn't even seem realistic, but it to tell you quickly.
Let's keep going. This is perfect.
to tell you quickly before I tell the story again, it happened again, and so I'll just continue right into it. So, a little backstory. Unfortunately, my aunt Linda, recently passed away of breast cancer. She had breast cancer for 8 years, and she fought it like hell. And the last person who ever should have dealt with that. But she, when it finally got her, she ended up going to a better place, somewhere where she wasn't in pain. But when she was younger, she was a sportsman as well. She loved to go out and hunt, and she actually got a really, really nice 8-point few times, and she meant a lot to me. She was really special to me. She actually passed away, right in front of me. I was helping take care of her, and it was one of the hardest moments of my life, and it's something that I'll never forget, that I was able to be with her during those times. And I went out and got a tattoo in memorial of her, and just a few short months later, it was deer season, and same thing as the previous story. My dad, who was my aunt's brother, him and I are sitting there the night before, and he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, what are you going to do tomorrow? And I said, well, last year I went down to Grandpa's stand in all of his old gear, and I said I had one of the most special moments of my life. I said, this year I'm going to wear a bracelet that Aunt Lynn gave me. I'm going to wear all my regular hunting camo this time, just because I didn't want to freeze this year. I said, I'm going to wear.
Okay.
I said, I'm gonna wear the bracelet that Aunt Linda gave me, and it says, "You'll never be alone." And I decided, I said, you know what? Grandpa and Aunt Lynn were so close. I'm going to go right back down to Grandpa's stand. I'm going to try it again, even though, again, there's no reason really to be down in there. I said, you know what, Dad? I'm just going to go do it again. Who knows? You never know. So I get down there that next morning. I got Aunt Linda's bracelet on and all my regular hunting gear. I'm hunting with a 308 this time, and climb up in the stand, and I did the same thing I did the previous year, except for I said, Aunt Lynn, I want you to look out for me today. And so I sat there, and the previous year when I got my 8-point with Grandpa's stuff, that deer came in at 7 o'clock. This deer this year started coming in at 8 o'clock, exactly 1 hour later, and I saw same thing. He came from over my left shoulder, another 8-point. literally, I swear to you, Michael, literally walking the same path that previous deer did.
No way.
And he
That's
came
amazing.
in. He came in, and he was. I've got a high-powered scope in my 308, and that deer came into about 10 yards, similar to the other one. And I almost thought to myself, like, I hope I don't miss this deer, because I'm set up for 80 to 100 to even further yardage with this gun. And I shouldn't have even used it, but I just probably young and dumb, didn't think much of it. I mean, I'm young and dumb now, but so that deer came in, and same thing. I was able to take him, and I climbed down there, and I climbed down to that buck, and I called my dad, and I said, "Dad, you will never believe what just happened." He said, "You did it again." I said, "Yep, I did it again." And he came down there, and it was literally like deja vu. Same exact scenario, back to back 8 points. I had just lost my Aunt Lynn. I had asked her to look out for me. I'm wearing her bracelet that she gave to me. And it's just like, stuff like that just doesn't make sense. And I'm honestly, I'm thankful that it doesn't make sense, because I wouldn't want to make sense of it.
Yeah.
It just,
That's amazing,
it's something.
man. I yeah. That's so cool. I don't have any relatives that hunted. Like, I'm my first generational hunter here, trying to figure it out on my own. So, like, I don't have that. So I'm not envious, of course, that you've lost someone that you care about. That happens to all of us, and I'm very sorry for you and your family. But I am envious of these experiences of people that had people that they went into the woods with and have had these experiences, because they are special. They're really, really special, man. So I'm impressed that you've had two. We'll say that.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of people who have had the similar experiences, and whenever I tell the story to, like, my friends or even family members, they still don't believe it. They're like, how does that happen? There's you're wearing old you're not even wearing camo to begin with for the first story. You're wearing an old plaid red checkered jacket. And there's a lot of guys out there who are like, you gotta wear the Sitka, which I'm all for. I'm a big, believer in the camo and everything else, but they're like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, "Guy, like, it wasn't some crazy hunting tactic. It wasn't anything new. It was just, either someone was looking out for me, or sheer luck, or a combination of both." And I think that's what makes those two stories so special to me, because, I've got a bunch of stories of, going out in the woods and sitting out over a, open meadow where there's clover, and having bucks come in and, taking them. And those are all super exciting and great, but it's these two stories in particular that just, they really mean a lot to me. And, I think about those people out there that, have similar experiences who never get to share it. And, it's just something that I'm so thankful that I get to share and have had happen to me.
Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com. For almost 50 years, Midway USA has been America's go-to source for just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Go to MidwayUSA.com to see our latest deals and promotions and take advantage of our super fast same-day shipping. If you need a cooler, a new fishing rod, another rifle, ammo, or a reloading press, you can find it all at MidwayUSA.com. Thanks for your business.
But I was just saying that, like, how jealous I am of that experience, that I don't have the generational hunting family where, like, I can go out there and miss someone. For me, it's, I'm generation one. Of course, I'm not jealous of the loss that you've had to go through, and I'm sorry for that, but it is still something very cool. And I was also saying that I think it is, I bet the people listening that have had these similar experiences, because there are enough of them out there. I mean, it's not everybody, but there is definitely a handful. I bet you are giving them the shivers, reliving your experience and probably helping them remember theirs. So thank you, man, for those stories. They are very, very cool, and I'm, solemnly jealous.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that a lot. I'd do anything to have those people back, but to have these experiences, I don't know if it was them looking out for me or what it was, but super thankful that I got to experience these, and I hope that others, because it's one of the toughest things to do is to lose not only a family member but a hunting buddy, a hunting friend, and I hope when and if that ever happens to someone else someday that they can have a similar experience, because it's just it almost gives you a sense of closure, and it's just something I will never forget.
Yeah. I sometimes think it's like, man, I wonder if these people start talking to their past relatives and go, hey, can you come with me every season? Because, man, that was easy. Sometimes hunting's a grind. I don't mean to be too light in the situation, but it's always just like, wow, it's always just like this really cool, and everything just works out perfectly hunt. And I'm like, man, I would love to have one of those because I never have.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, trust me. I know all about that. There's, and I use that to make light of it. Like, if I go out hunting and, I sit all day and don't see anything, I'm like, come on, Gramp, like, let's go. Let me see something.
Yeah.
It's just, if it is him, he's just like, oh, maybe Austin doesn't get to see anything today. I'll teach him a little more patience. But
I bet. That sounds like my grandpa, so.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Well, this was great. What other stories you got for us, if any? And if not, we can wrap it up right there. You tell me.
Well, I think the last story I have, and I just wanted to touch base one more time about like how I love to hunt with other implements, is my pistol buck. I'm not sure how you want to edit this in, or even if you want to edit it in, but my pistol buck was quite the story too. About 5 years ago, I went out and bought a pistol. I got my pistol permit for New York State, which, not to talk about New York State, but it is not the easiest process to go through to get one. But in terms of reaching my goal of killing a deer with every sort of implement, I finally got my pistol permit. And so I went out and I bought myself a 357 Magnum. Okay. Yeah, bought a 357 with a 8 3/4 inch barrel on it.
Did you put a scope on it and everything? I love those guns.
Yeah, oh yeah. So it actually came with a scope, but I didn't put the scope on it. I practiced without the scope, and by the time deer season got here, I was just like, well, I've been shooting without the scope. I'm just going to go out without the scope. So something that that my family and I do when gun season rolls around is they love to do drives. I'm super lucky to be able to have a family farm where I live, where we've got 400 acres, and I probably awesome. Shouldn't say this out loud because people are going to be contacting me, but I'm the only one who bow hunts it. And so bow season, I've got the entire 400 acres to myself. Like, it's awesome. But when gun season rolls around, that's when all my my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, they come out and they love to do deer drives, which people have different opinions on, but that's just something we do. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring my pistol out for this deer drive. And so we were pushing out this area called the Lower Swamp. It's just this old, nasty, everything's overgrown. You can't hardly walk through it. And I was one of the sitters. And I decided to sit by this fallen down tree and sat there for, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 minutes. And all of a sudden, over to my left, I hear my uncle. My uncle's got a really deep, really like bellowing, like echoing voice, and him and my other cousin Johnny are talking. And I was thinking to myself, yep, there's the end of the deer drive, like, because it was my Uncle TJ. He was one of the walkers, and I was like, oh, that's done. We pushed it out. Nothing's going to come through. So I stood up. I put my pistol back in its holster and just looked around for a second. Well, all of a sudden, this, I have a thing with 8 points, by the way. I feel like every buck I've talked about is an 8 point. I've never gotten a 10 point. So again, another 8 point.
Some places like a New York 8 is like a Kansas like 16, right? Like sometimes that's a good deer for where you are. So I don't know what the deer are like in New York, but
yeah, I mean, we do get some good, nice sized deer up here. I mean, we've got some giants as well, but so I'm sitting here looking at my deer and 5 out of the 7 or 8 points. But anyway, So this buck, this 8-point, comes busting out of the swamp. I mean, I have no idea where he came from because at that point the drive was over, and he came running. He almost ran me over. It's a good thing I was standing next to that tree because that deer came literally. I mean, I could have reached out and touched the thing. I mean, if I had a 9-inch barrel on that gun, I could have touched it. But I only had an 8 3/4-inch barrel, so I couldn't quite reach it. But
Okay.
But so he came running by me and I shot him and got up to him and he was a pretty nice buck and got over to him and then my uncles came over to me and they're like, "You scared the shit out of us." And I'm like, "What? You scared the shit out of us?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" Like, "Well, we were sitting there talking, thinking the whole thing was over, and all of a sudden we hear bang, bang," and apparently it literally, scared the shit out of them because, they started yelling. I think they thought that I thought they were a deer or something, and so they came over and they're giving me hell about it, like jokingly. They're not actually giving me hell, and so that was my first buck I ever got with a pistol, and so just to talk about it again. So I was able to get him with a pistol. I've got one with a crossbow, got one with a rifle, and I just need to keep working to try to get one with a muzzleloader, try to get one with a recurve, and who knows? Some people go spear hunting. Maybe I'll try that shit too.
Right. Jump out of a tree with a 8-foot spear. I've seen some people do some crazy stuff like that. That is crazy.
Like Drury Outdoors or something, I think does that stuff once in a while. But no, yeah. I guess that's kind of all I've got in terms of stories. I'm not the best storyteller in the world, but they all mean a lot to me, and it's special to be able to talk about it, I think.
Yeah, man. Like everybody's stories are different, and what's important is that they matter to you. I often get a lot of feedback. I don't get a ton, but when I do, it's people are like, "Man, I really love." They love the average Joe hunter and the stories that are special to them. And then, of course, they love the grand epic, like, I packed out 15 miles and I killed a grizzly bear with my teeth and stuff like that. But the hunters that have those stories that just mean a ton to them, people feel that. And I think it's really important that those are the stories that need to be shared because it keeps the people that are maybe gone with us, that keeps us alive. And keeps them alive. So thank you, Austin. It's special that you were able to share those with us, and I really do appreciate it. And to the listeners, if you guys have similar stories, we'd love to hear them because they always make me tingle. They make the necks, the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and I love hearing them. So thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. So we'll wrap this thing up. Do you want anyone to be able to see your hunting adventures through social media or anything like that, or are you just going to fade off into the sunset? Your call, my friend.
Well, one of my goals is to eventually quit teaching and become a professional deer hunter somehow. I have no idea how that'll ever happen realistically, but I probably won't share my social media stuff. I am a teacher, so I'm probably going to stay on the down low and and just continue to share my stories with people like you and friends and family, and just try to enjoy being out there. So
perfect, man. There's nothing wrong with that. That makes a ton of sense. Like I told you earlier, both my parents were teachers. There's a lot of respect for that job, man. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for your stories, and go out there, put some more down, and let's get you back on again here in the future.
Yeah, appreciate it, Michael. The last thing I do have to say is when I send you that picture, I hope that people are able to see me and all my grandfather's hunting gear and that 8-point, because it is, not to be arrogant, but it is a pretty cool picture. It's just new school hunter and old school stuff.
That's awesome, man. I will, if I can fit it into the framework, I will make it the cover photo. So everyone make sure you take a look. And Austin, thank you again, man. I appreciate you taking your time to come on the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is it. Another couple stories in the books. I want to thank Austin very much for reaching out. If you guys have some stories, please feel free. In the show notes, I think as well as on the Instagram, there is a little form. Fill it out if you want to be a guest. We will be in touch, either myself or my buddy Jared. But we'd love to hear your stories. Share whatever you have for us, whether they're heartfelt stories, kind of what Austin had today, or some hilarious stories, mishaps, whatever it might be. We want to hear them, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Austin, thank you again for coming on the podcast, man. I really do appreciate it. And beyond that, guys, make sure you give us a follow, give us a review, share us with a friend. The more people are doing that, the more people will hear about this, and the crazier stories we will get on. So thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. Now get out there, of course, and make some stories of your own. Thank you so much.
Join us at a Friends of NRA event where freedom, fun, and firearms come together like nowhere else. With more than 600 events held across the country, there's always one happening near you. From exciting games to exclusive auctions featuring one-of-a-kind firearms and gear you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're a lifelong hunter, a competitive shooter, or simply passionate about defending freedom, there is a seat for you. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you and get ready for a night you won't forget.
New season, new chaos in college football.
Let's go!
Big stage, big opportunity. This Labor Day weekend, the wildness lives on ABC, ESPN, and the all-new ESPN app.
What a way to start!
Featuring top 10 teams like Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, and LSU, and Bill Belichick's debut at North Carolina.
It's so special when these teams collide.
Don't miss a lineup filled with electric matchups.
Welcome back to college football.
Kickoff week presented by Modelo. Labor Day weekend on ESPN and ABC. Also available to stream on the all-new ESPN app.